The Hilton sale is on. Now through September 29th, you can save up to 20% on stays this fall and beyond. Long weekends, last-minute getaways, holiday gatherings. There's a Hilton stay for all of them. More moments, more experiences, more destinations. Now 20% off for a limited time because it matters where you stay. Don't wait. Book by September 29th and save up to 20% at Hilton.com. Terms apply. Hilton for the stay.
Tuesday on NBC, Jimmy Fallon and Bozoma St. John host the highly anticipated new competition show.
I hired 10 creatives from all walks of life. They will be battling it out to see who can impress the world's biggest brands.
This is a huge opportunity.
This is the battle for the next big idea.
This is not play.
We're spending millions of dollars.
I'm so excited to embark on this adventure with all of you.
May the best idea win!
On Brand with Jimmy Fallon. Series premiere Tuesday on NBC.
Hello, my name is Damon Friedman, co-founder and president of SOF Missions. As a 20-year veteran within Special Operations, I've gone through many challenges due to my military service and time in combat. We felt called to start SOF Missions to serve our fellow brothers and sisters in arms, focusing on suicide prevention and resiliency. Our mission at SOF Missions is to empower warriors to find purpose and be resilient. Since 2011, when we started the organization, almost 3 million men and women have deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the scars of war take a toll on their psychological, physical, social, and spiritual health. Many veterans feel a sense of hopelessness and a loss of purpose when they return to civilian life. They feel isolated and alone, unable to reconnect. And in the greatest of tragedies, over 20 veterans lose all hope and take their own lives. Our goal at SOF Missions is to provide veterans the tools and resources so that they don't become a statistic. We offer a unique approach to combating veteran suicide through a whole health, intradisciplinary model. The Be Resilient program is a 4-pillar methodology that addresses the areas of psychological, physical, social, and spiritual wellness. We provide care through 3 delivery methods: medical clinics, retreats, and educational training. Since we started back in 2011, we have been able to reach veterans in all 50 states and have served over 3,000 veterans through the Be Resilient program. Being resilient is a multifaceted and complex issue. We know that to find a lasting solution, we have to address the whole warrior. Many challenges cannot be solved by providing the treatments and modalities of just one component, but by tackling them all. Now, we've expanded our services to include law enforcement and first responders. Together, we can make a lasting impact in the lives of warriors across the nation. To learn more, visit our website at sofmissions.org.
All right. Welcome back.
MisFitNation. The MisFitNation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the MisFitNation show, the Thursday after dinner edition. Thanks for taking some of your time tonight to hang out with us. We know there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, a lot of things on that box that you watch on your wall. NFL tonight, I think WNBA playoffs are tonight. A lot of things you could be doing, but you choose to hang out with us, and we appreciate you for it. Thanks for being there tonight and collecting those frequent flyer miles. As you can tell, there's no bad news tonight. We didn't start off somber. We're starting off a little lively. We're ready for a great show. A few months ago, we had Mr. Derek Funk on the show, and he introduced us to an organization called Living Free Together. And their leader was going to come on, but sadly, she lost her husband. Our prayers go out to her and him and the rest of their family and the rest of the Living Free Together family. But one of their board members did step up. He's a Marine, 20-year Marine infantry officer, went to Annapolis, got commissioned into the Marine Corps, served on both coasts. And now he's a retirement rank of lieutenant colonel, can't speak. His family is settled in Charlottesville, Virginia. He worked for 10 years leading a tech company. Now he's fully retired, and he still lives there. 2 grown daughters living nearby and working there. So without further ado, let's welcome United States Marine Corps veteran John Bruggeman to the MisFitNation show. Welcome, John.
Hey, Rich. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Sorry about fumbling there a little bit. Sometimes it's hard to talk, but it's great to have you here. Like I said, thanks for stepping up and being the next man up to take this on and share with us a little more about you and, of course, Living Free Together.
Sure. My pleasure.
Like I told you in the green room, I'm only going to give basically the elevator speech intro of you. And I want you to sell you and tell the Misfit Nation more about you from as far back as you want to go to how we got here to this life of service.
Sure. You covered the highlights. So I was fortunate to go to the United States Naval Academy. Great institution, taught me a lot about leadership and service. And a lot of people are confused when you say the Naval Academy, and then you say, well, but how'd you end up in the Marine Corps? So the Marine Corps is a part of the Department of the Navy. And so there's a service academy for the Army at West Point and the Navy at Annapolis and the Air Force out in Colorado Springs. And Marine officers come out of the Naval Academy, or at least some of them. It come from other programs as well. So as a graduate of the Naval Academy, you get to choose whether to take a commission into the Navy or the Marine Corps. During my time at the Naval Academy, I was exposed to some great Marine leaders who were stationed there, and was inspired to follow that path, which I thought was going to give me an opportunity to really work closely with young Marines and work on leading and training them in all kinds of scenarios. So this was back in 1991. I had no idea what was coming, but it was a great decision, and I'm glad I made that choice. So that led to my selection as an infantry officer, and went through the initial training pipeline. And as you mentioned, had the opportunity to serve in infantry units on both the East and West Coast for the Marine Corps, and made multiple deployments, both prior to 9/11 and then many combat deployments after 9/11. And just as I had hoped, had an opportunity to work with fantastic Marines in every unit where I served, and had terrific mentors along the way that continued to teach me about leadership all the way through my 20-year career. So along the way, I got married, and my wife Marie and I had 2 daughters and raised them up during that Marine Corps career, which really means that Marie did the job of raising our daughters well, and I stopped in from time to time to chip in my 2 cents. But they got the full experience growing up, living on Marine Corps bases, traveling all over the country, and seeing firsthand what that life looks like, serving our nation and serving in an organization that is bigger than any one individual. And I think they learned a lot from that as well. So we wrapped that up after 20 years. Timing was right for a lot of different reasons. So we made the choice to retire from the Marine Corps and ended up settling here in Charlottesville, Virginia, which is a fantastic location. Lots of former military make the same choice and find their way here, and started a second chapter. And I had a little bit of a tech background from my previous education. And one of the things that was pivotal for me, I got some great advice from a couple of mentors as I was beginning to transition out of the Marine Corps. And one of the best pieces of advice was think hard about where you want to go to start your next career. And in general, the key distinction was you can go to a big organization where business is pretty steady and things are pretty reliable, and you can build a solid career there because they're always looking for former military leaders to bring that experience to their leadership team and help with project management and decision making. But when you go to a place like that, you're one of a lot of people like that, and often your influence on the larger organization can be somewhat limited. The alternative, I was told, is find a place that really needs leadership, a smaller organization, maybe someplace just getting started, where you'll have more of an opportunity to really shape the way that organization functions and share some of those leadership experiences with other leaders there, managers in the company who maybe haven't had that same benefit of that experience. So we chose that path. We came to Charlottesville and found a small tech company. At the time we started with them, I was about the 30th employee in the company. We did a lot of government work, which was in high demand back then and still is now. And so that turned out to be another great career for me. Spent a little over 10 years there in a couple of different positions. But by the time I left, was working really with one other senior person there, kind of shaping and leading the company, and it had grown from the 30 people that it started out as to close to 200, and it's even more today and still going. And more importantly than any of that, we're doing great work supporting the service members still serving today in our U.S. military and the government. So that was really rewarding and again felt like a great decision for me that really went well. So that was a fantastic experience as well, and have loved being in Charlottesville ever since.
Nice. That's two distinct chapters of your life right there, and you can take the academy life as a chapter as well. So that's a whole different world being in the academy with all the cadets. The midshipmen who are your brothers and sisters.
Yep.
And rocking it out there. When you were there, I know you have to do something extracurricular while you're there. What was your extracurricular thing of choice while you were in the academy?
Yeah, I did. So I was a runner back in high school. I was on my high school cross country and track team. So I did that for a couple of years at Navy. But after a couple of years, realized I was not quite the caliber of some of these folks that were there. So I ended up doing all kinds of other intramural sports. I ran. They had some intramural running groups, and tried some things that I'd never played before. I got to try playing lacrosse, which was a lot of fun, and played some. They had some like flag football type competitive sports and stuff like that. So a little bit of everything. But they also had a great Marine Corps club and organization where you got to kind of learn more about the Marine Corps and take part in some kind of weekend activities that helped prepare you for some of the training you were gonna receive in the Marine Corps.
It's outstanding, and a lot of people don't know those little aspects of any of the academies, that you have to do something while you're there to not study and learn leadership skills and military science. You have to do something to be outside the classroom and be active. And a lot of people just think, they just go there and become robots and come out there and they just do robot stuff as officers. But there's a whole other world that goes on inside every one of the academies, and each one's a little different in their own nuances. Shorty Air Force, they have maids and people delivering them food and stuff.
That's right.
It's a little different.
Yeah, there was, the academies really do a great job, and so there's not only a great academic program and all sorts of great extracurriculars that help prepare you for future experiences in the military. But you also participate in summer training, which is something else that people may not be aware of. And again, it's a little bit different in each of the different schools, but they have a lineup, sort of a different curriculum each summer that lets you experience the military. You get to go out and, for example, from the Naval Academy, you get to go out and spend a month on board a Navy ship, living the life of a sailor at sea. You get to go train with the Marine Corps in Quantico for a month and experience what that's like. Some people get to go spend a little bit of time on a submarine, or get to go down to flight school and see what flight training is all about. So it's an opportunity to both learn about all those different communities, so that you have some reference when it's time for you to make that choice of what you want to do for a career, but also gives you a little bit of a taste of what the military is like as you're focused on your academics and your training for yourself. It starts to give you a little bit of flavor of what life in the military is going to be like once you've graduated.
Definitely. I know the Army, West Point does CTLC, I think it's called, when they send the cadets out to all the units during the summer, and they get paired up with usually a first lieutenant or a captain to take them around and show them what if that unit is doing, or what their specialty might be doing at that time, and get to learn different specialties. I mean, it's not as cool as being on a ship for a month or in a sub, but they get to get dirty and be abused as a young, basically a cadet lieutenant type deal. And
that's right.
It's fun to watch them transition from that, then come back. If they come back to your unit as a lieutenant, they have that nuance of what that unit does, and they come in a little smarter, a little the chest a little puffed out, a little higher. It's a little awesome when you see them come in.
Yeah, exactly.
So you did your service. What was your most challenging deployment? So I mean, you came in right after Desert Storm, really, and we were doing a lot of worldwide deployments at that time, to Africa, to Kosovo, and then of course 9/11 happened, and the world flipped upside down a little bit, and you guys went balls to the wall, or still going balls to the wall, really, into the Middle East. What was your most challenging aspects of those?
Yeah, so it's interesting. This is another maybe little known Marine Corps fact. So things have changed a little bit over the years, but essentially still today, the Marine Corps serves as kind of a force in readiness for the U.S. military in general. So this is part of the reason why this partnership between the Navy and the Marine Corps works so well. Is there is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There are Marine units deployed around the world on Navy ships as essentially a quick reaction force. And the timing is a little bit different now than it used to be, but in general, the goal is to have essentially a regimental sized force in kind of both hemispheres, the Eastern Hemisphere and the Western Hemisphere. And that force is embarked on Navy ships and comes with basically all the support they need to take care of themselves for a couple of weeks, should they be needed to deploy somewhere. And that could include things like, combat type operations, but it's also things like humanitarian assistance operations after natural disasters and those sorts of things. So the Marine Corps has got a long history of doing all kinds of stuff from those forces in readiness deployed on ships. So my very first deployment, I had gone out to the West Coast, was in the 1st Battalion, 9th Marines, a great battalion out at Camp Pendleton. My very first deployment was one of these, where they put us on Navy ships, and we sailed from San Diego, headed west, and we had made it across the Pacific, and we were actually on Liberty at the time in Hong Kong, and this was October 3rd of 1993, which some people will remember is the Black Hawk Down incident. So that blew up in Mogadishu. We were recalled back to the ships. The ships got underway in a matter of hours from Hong Kong. We raced across the Indian Ocean, and then my battalion spent the better part of the next 6 months there working with the Army units that had already been there to patrol Mogadishu and try to reestablish some calm to that area while kind of the plan adjusted to the new situation there. So that was my first taste of Marine Corps deployment. And at that time, as you mentioned, we were a couple of years down the road from Desert Storm. And so that was the most recent experience, but otherwise things were calming down a little bit in the world around then. And so that was for me, really quite an experience as a young lieutenant, making my first deployment. And then, so fast forward from that, 9/11, and after that, for everybody in the military, life changed drastically. So same for us, made a couple of rapid deployments throughout the early 2000s, to Iraq, to Afghanistan. And towards then, at the end of my career, I was mostly training units to get ready to go overseas, to support that mission in both Iraq and Afghanistan. So that was hectic. And, each one of those deployments has their own sort of different challenges. To a lot of America, it might have just seemed like one long slog of time over there in that part of the world. But I think for folks who experienced it, those conflicts both took on very different kind of feel and characteristics over time. And sometimes it changed rapidly 1 year to the next. Things had changed pretty significantly, or in, geographic regions, things might get really hot in one area and calm down somewhere else. So those were always a challenge, trying to learn as much as you can from the units who were there right before you, understanding the situation on the ground before you go, and then, as always, just sort of reacting to what comes at you. So that was definitely a challenging time for everybody, I think, in the military.
Definitely was, and you hit the nail on the head. Fighting in Iraq first for me, like I was telling you, in the green room with 2-4, 2003, 2004. That kind of fight in the urban context within Ramadi was just intense, insane. It was always on. You're always on. Then I went to Afghanistan next, and it's a totally different concept of battle. And they're hardened warriors in Afghanistan. Don't get me wrong, but it's a different fight. You're not getting shot from buildings. You're getting shot from everywhere in Afghanistan. But it's a totally different mindset when you go into the fight and coming out of it. And for you as a leader, seeing both sides of it, which one really challenged you more? It would be a question most people would ask you. Which one challenged you more? I think both of it challenged me as a leader to bring my men home, because you still have to adjust on the fly every day when you walk out. I'm not sure if it was the same for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's that's one of those things in the military. It's you don't understand, but the way civilians may not recognize that the way the military structure works. We talk about leaders and then junior enlisted personnel, whatever, but pretty much almost everybody there is responsible for somebody. You're either a commander responsible for everybody in your unit. You're a squad leader responsible for a team of Marines or soldiers that are shoulder to shoulder with you every day. Even if you're one of the more junior Marines or soldiers in your unit, you feel responsibility for your buddies to your left and to your right. And that pressure to understand the situation that you're in every minute of every day, make good decisions all the time, even under the worst possible conditions, and be there when your fellow Marines and soldiers need you. That's tough. So there's physical challenges, there's emotional challenges, and there's those sorts of just sort of pressures of being on your game, at the top of your game, all the time.
Definitely. And when I was in Ramadi, I learned a style of leadership from the Marines, from Colonel Kennedy and Sergeant Major Booker. Anytime there was an incident, them two dudes were there. They came out and they fought with their Marines every time, to be right next to them, to show them that, hey, I'm not leading you from the battle office. I'm out here. I'm in the fight with you, and I'm going to be here with you. And that just perked up those Marines every time we were in a fight. They say, oh, here comes the boss. He's ready to fight. Let's go. Let's throw down. You just see them go, little crazy Marines go nuts. And it was awesome seeing that. And you don't see that often, but I seen that for the first time there. That's amazing.
Yeah. That's one of the things I love about, Marine leadership. It's something that really gets drilled into the head of every Marine, again, at every rank. But leaders belong at the front, right? Leaders are up front. Not only is that the best place most of the time to understand the situation so you can make good decisions, but for exactly the reason you described is, when things are getting tough and people are starting to wonder, how's this going to end? When they turn to their left or right and they see their leadership there shoulder to shoulder with them, that just helps give them confidence that that they're, they've got somebody making good decisions and they're going to get through this together.
Definitely. I mean, you got to do that many times during your career, and then at the end of your career, you had to make an even bigger decision. A bigger choice was to get out of the Marines at 20 years, and that was your life for 20 plus years with the academy. Yeah. How was that transition coming out and taking that step into the new world of the civilian world?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will probably answer it slightly differently than my wife would answer that question. So the humorous part of this story is, the services, they do a better job, now more than ever, but even 10 years ago when I was going through it, there really is an effort to prepare you for that transition. The service recognizes that that you've made a big sacrifice and service to the nation, and they want to set you up for success as you make that transition. So they offer all kinds of things to help with that. I promised my wife that when we made that decision, and we made the decision about 9 months out from the date that we chose for retirement, and I promised her that I would take advantage of that time to do all the things. I would get a resume together. I would do the job hunt thing. We would visit places where we thought we might want to go settle down, and we would check out neighborhoods and look for houses and do all that stuff. Sure enough, I was busy getting my unit ready to go, feeling especially guilty because I was going to be gone before they deployed the next time. So I wanted to make sure I was doing everything I possibly could to make sure they were ready to go, especially because I wouldn't be going with them. So I failed in my mission to get us ready. And so I remember, coming down to, we literally were like at the point where we had to make a decision to tell a moving company where to take our stuff. And we didn't know where we were going to live. And I hadn't even bothered to start looking for a job. So the two of us hopped in the car. We drove down to a couple of places here in the mid-Atlantic that were on our kind of possibilities list. And we spent a long weekend looking quickly at a few different places and decided Charlottesville looks like the place. Great place to raise a family. Let's do it. And so made that decision. A couple months later, officially retired out of the Marine Corps. Moving van pulled up down here. We found a house, and I still had no job, but our kids had a school to go to, and we knew it was a great place. And it ended up working out just fine. But for us, the decision really, it was tough because of everything that was still going on for this country and what units from all the services were still doing. But for us, it was the timing was tough with young kids who had spent the better part of their childhood getting bounced around from house to house, state to state, moving every couple of years, dad being gone a lot, and my wife having to carry that load of raising our kids and taking care of the house and managing all of our other affairs. For us, it just felt like that was the right time. Our older daughter was just about to start high school, and we made the decision that we really wanted to try to get settled down a little bit before we entered that phase. So it ended up working out pretty well. Found a great place. Kids are doing great. We're happy in Charlottesville. But I definitely fumbled the start of that transition and should have done it better. So anybody out there who's in that position where you're looking at a transition coming up soon, don't do what I did. Don't put it off too long. Go ahead and take advantage of that time. Make your plans, get everything sorted out and ready to go. And trust me, it'll be a lot smoother.
And definitely, as you said, 10 years ago, when I retired, Army's Soldier for Life program was a little different than it is now. A lot better now than it was back then. Where now they do internships. The soldiers can do a career skills program.
Yeah.
For about 120 days at a company, learn that skill, and they're still getting paid by the Army, and learn that skill. And maybe some of them fall into a job there, or maybe they find out that that's not what they want to do, which helps them in that first year. Most veterans come out, they don't like to stay at that first job because it's not a good fit. They get a job, they think they have to have it, not because they want that job. and they just fall out of it. And I think the career skills program is a major improvement to get them out there to see what works and who's who in the zoo out there, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
And we got our first question from the audience here. This is from Elegant 43. What lessons from your Marine Corps career have been most valuable in civilian life? Thank you, Elegant.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think probably you ask 100 different Marines that question, you'll get a lot of different variations on what I think is probably the same theme, which is, so I went from the military, as I mentioned, I went to this small tech company, and you know, in a technology company, there's a big focus on doing things well and building the right software and meeting all the expectations. But in our company, at least, there was not a lot of experience in managing people. So there were a lot of great software engineers and technicians, and they were fantastic at what they did. But the company was still sort of building up a management team. And the skill that served me best there was just realizing how important it is to sit down and talk with people regularly. So I started doing regular kind of one-on-one discussions on a regular basis. And at first, people sort of didn't want to be bothered. They're like, okay, you know, this is going to be a waste of time. Can I get back to work? I got a lot of deadlines to hit. But as we started talking about how things are going, you know, how is the company doing? What can we do better? What are the things that are preventing you from doing your best work? You know, what ideas do you have that we haven't thought of yet? And then as people learned that they could trust us and share those ideas and that it wouldn't be held against them, those turned out to be super productive. And it started to build that feeling of teamwork and that you could work together. And when you had a problem, you weren't all alone trying to figure it out, but you could come and talk to somebody and say, hey, this is an issue. How can we fix this? And that really, I think, contributed to a lot of the success that company experienced was that nobody felt like they were kind of alone, you know, with a list of tasks and a bunch of deadlines. They all felt like they were part of a team and really felt comfortable working together as a team.
Awesome. It's a great answer. Elegant. I hope that answers your question. John, we talked about your time getting to the academy, time in the Marines, and your time in the tech company. Now, what brought you to Living Free together?
Yeah. So that's another one where, you know, my wife would answer a little bit differently, but it's kind of part two to the question you asked about the transition out of the military. A lot of people said to me and probably said to other people as they're leaving the military, hey, you know, I think you're going to have a hard time. You know, you've been in the military for 20 years now. This is your home. You trust these people that you have worked with over the years. You expect a certain type of environment, and you may not find that out in the civilian world. And so my wife was one of those who said, hey, you know, I think you might have a hard time. And I insisted that I wouldn't. I was like, oh no, this is, you know, how hard could this be? Right. And my answer to the situation was to just jump in with both feet and work really hard. So I was lucky to find a great organization, and I feel like I was a pretty good fit there once I got settled in. And for a number of years, I felt like things were going well. Meanwhile, there was some stuff that I hadn't dealt with and chose not to deal with because that would have been harder. And that stuff slowly started to peek out between the cracks and cause some issues that, I think my wife was the first one to notice. And it took a couple of things that happened that I couldn't ignore. And so I was having some of the issues that a lot of veterans have, and I didn't understand it at first. I couldn't accept that I was feeling that way. I couldn't accept that the stuff that had happened years ago was was a problem for me now. And I felt like I didn't really need to address it, that time would pass and life would just be okay. And until it wasn't. And eventually I realized that my decision not to deal with that was having a significant impact on my marriage, on our family, on my kids, and just my personal interactions. And so I was trying to just work harder. This is one of the things that is a go-to in the military, is like, oh, if there's a problem, just work harder. And, if you try more, brute force your way through it, you can get past it. But that wasn't working for me. And it all came to a head. And the reason I'm involved with Living Free Together right now is because my wife found Tanya, or maybe Tanya found my wife, but my wife was looking for some answers, for some help, and she was reading all the books, and she was talking to counselors, and that was helping her to understand a little bit of why I was doing the things I was doing, but it wasn't helping me, and so she was looking for something that would be convincing to me. So she found Tanya, who had founded this organization, Living Free Together, and was operating it nearly single-handedly for 5 or 6 years at that point, where her focus was military families. She offered programs that were targeting spouses and children, understanding the challenges that they deal with, and the lack of any seemingly any organized help for them. So she had founded this organization, and my wife connected with her, and she started attending some of their programs. And it took a while, but she eventually convinced me to go as well. And then we brought the whole family. And for about a year, we attended those Living Free Together programs for families that helped us to kind of reset where we were as a family, what we meant to one another, what our various roles were in the family, and how we interacted with one another. And that was a key part of what helped me to recognize the situation I was in, and the fact that I needed to get some help. And so that was a big piece. We also found a church that really helped the two of us a lot. And then very fortuitously, I also ended up getting assigned to a counselor at the VA who turned out to be somebody who could really communicate with me and understand me, and so that helped as well. And those three things I'm convinced worked in concert to really turn things around for me personally and for us as a family.
That's outstanding, and it kind of mirrors the story that Derek shared with us when he came on, Derek Funk, how he was kind of in the funk really coming out, and he found, I think Tanya found him too. I'm not sure if it was at an event or something, and she kind of put her arm around him and his wife and kind of dragged him in and got him saved. And I hear you say that, and it seems like that's what she does. She has that magnetic personality and knows when you need that help. And starting this organization is an amazing feat, especially doing it alone, like you said, kind of being a one-woman show for all those years. And now, I mean, every time I look at the videos of the Ruck the Ridge, I kind of get sucked into the video here. I'm like watch, see what's happening next. So I know you guys do a lot of events on the calendar, but that's one of the big ones of the year. How does that event really drain you guys? Is you get planned to it and then do it on November 5th? Or November time?
It's a whole lot of fun. So everybody should go check out rucktheridge.com. This is again Tanya's brainchild. A couple of years ago, we were looking for an idea for another type of event we could do that would help bring together both the military veteran community and the civilian community in this area. As I mentioned before, Charlottesville is a home to a lot of former military, but there's no military base nearby. We do have a couple of military facilities here, and so we get some active duty, but quite a few former military. But there doesn't seem to be a lot of events in the area that really bridge those two communities. So Tanya said, "Hey, I'm hearing about this rucking thing that's starting to get really popular in the exercise community." And she's like, I don't really know what it is, but I think the Army does it a lot, and maybe the Marine Corps does too. What do you think? And so we started kicking around some ideas, and Ruck the Ridge was born 4 years ago. It's grown. Now we think we're going to have more than 200 people out there this year. And I describe it as sort of it's a opportunity to go hike through the mountains in the Blue Ridge Mountains here around Charlottesville. And if you choose to, you can carry some weight on your back. That's kind of the idea of rucking as an exercise phenomenon, and also sort of a military training and tactical exercises. Rucking is when you, as a soldier or Marine, you throw your pack on your back with all the gear you're going to need to survive, and you use your own 2 feet to get from here to where you need to be. And so units do this all the time in training. And then, it's still, even in today's age of modern transportation, military options, there's a whole lot of times when a unit's just marching down the road to get from here to there. So we do that in the mountains on some fantastic trails in the area. We offer the option to give you some weights if you don't have your own, but lots of people have their own gear now. And then to make it even a little more interesting, we mix in some obstacles along the course. So if anybody's familiar with, I always say we are not these things, but if you're familiar with the concept of like a Spartan race or a Tough Mudder race, our obstacles are not nearly as challenging as those. They're more for fun and teamwork, but they do mix things up a little bit and make it interesting. So we have walls you climb over, and low crawl that you crawl under, and tires that you flip, and that kind of stuff. So there's that rucking going on these courses up in the mountains. And meanwhile, we've got a little bit of a festival happening for anybody who doesn't choose to ruck. But we've got food trucks and music and stuff for kids to do, a little kids obstacle course, and some military demonstrations and that kind of thing. So we try to make it a fun day for the whole family. Come out and challenge yourself on the trails, experience a little bit of what some military training feels like, and get to know the local military community. And we've had a great response from the public here. We get all kinds of people coming out to this, all ages, all abilities, and a lot of them want to learn more about the military. So it's been really terrific.
Seeing the picture, you got looks like vendors around the outside. The police are involved as well. Yeah, a lot of youngsters. Actually, a lot of youngsters in the picture. That's awesome. Do you get a lot of from schools come in or anything like that?
We get some. We had hoped to sort of spark some competition. So we don't bill it as a race. We have this kind of rolling start. You can kind of start throughout the day. We don't want to have everybody congested on the trails at once. But we've tried to encourage local firehouses and police stations and ROTC units to come out and challenge your brother or sister stations to see who could get more people out there, who could go on the longer distance trails. We've gotten a little bit out of that. But honestly, we've had more families. I mean, the first year we did this, we had a young couple. They had 3 kids. The oldest of these 3 kids couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 years old, and the youngest was still an infant. The mom was carrying this infant in one of those front baby carriers, and they went and did the 4-mile course through the woods, dragging all 3 of these kids through there, and they had a blast. I saw them at the finish, and the kids were more excited than the parents. They had a great time. So we get a ton of families out there, and we offer different distances, and everything's optional. If you want to go out there with just a water bottle and no weight, go for it. All the obstacles are optional. You can walk right past them if you don't feel like flipping a tire or climbing a wall. But most people find it's a whole lot of fun, and no pressure, not a race. Nobody's got a stopwatch running. Just go out and enjoy the beautiful scenery and the great environment there.
Outstanding. I mean, it looks like I said, the video always sucks me in whenever I look at it on the website. So it's pretty awesome. We got another question. Of fun. Another question. Okay. I think you answered this kind of already, but JJ Weir, how has living free together helped you in this part of your life? Thank you for the question.
Yeah, great question. So for me personally, living free was an opportunity for us as a family to get together and sort of hit pause, talk about where we had been, a lot of what we had been through, and what we wanted for a future together as a family. And it was really those sorts of guided discussions and activities. And it's not all just sitting around the table talking, but Tanya had some great activities you do together. One of the things is you imagine your family as a sports team, and you come up with like, what would be the name of your team, and what would be your motto, and who would be the coach, and who would be all the other, and so those types of things, those activities create these sorts of opportunities for discussion. And for us, that was terrific, because it's not the kind of thing that we would have chosen to do at home alone. We needed somebody to prompt us through that. So that was great. For other people, Living Free Together offers all kinds of other opportunities. So we do offer programs specifically for veterans. We have some skill building workshops. We have things specifically helping with transition from military life to civilian life, between careers, that sort of thing. We offer things specifically for children. Tanya's background, part of the reason she is such a people person. She in her past, she has worked in hospitals, in cancer wards with children who are undergoing cancer treatment. So she has the biggest heart for families and kids. And so a lot of the programs we offer is helping kids to understand, what life is like now that we're no longer in the military, or how do their experiences as a military family shape their future. So a little bit of something for everybody, with a focus on really helping families who need a little hand to figure out that transition piece.
Outstanding. And I shared the Ruck the Ridge .com link in the chat. So if you want to get involved, that is November 8th of this year. It says registration is still open, so you can get involved if you want to be in that area, or if you want to drive up there. It looks beautiful. The colors on the streets will be beautiful. It won't be that hot. Just have a good time.
Yeah. We have a woman coming from Atlanta this year. I think she's going to be the record holder from the furthest distance. Last year we had a group from Virginia Beach, which is about a 4-hour drive, and a bunch of people coming from Northern Virginia. But I think Atlanta will set the record this year. But yeah, it's a really fun event. So I encourage you to check it out online and come see how it goes.
Outstanding. We got one last question from the audience here. This is from Trey for a Day. How can communities better support veterans and their families? Thanks, Trey for a Day.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's interesting. I think a lot depends on sort of the nature of the community. Here in Charlottesville, there are a number of other organizations that exist to support the local military, but you really have to sort of make an effort to find them. Most of the time when you go to the events that these organizations sponsor, you see only military families. You don't see a lot of people who don't already have some connection to the military. So one of the things I would encourage families to do, if you don't have a family history of military service, if you're not really familiar with how the military functions, or you don't know folks who have served and haven't had a chance to sort of understand that experience, just look around your community to see there's almost certainly some kind of a veteran organization, maybe a VFW post, and just stop in or go to one of their events and just meet some folks. You will hear some fascinating stories about the life that these people have led, and then the way they have really focused their energies on supporting Americans throughout their careers, and just showing that interest, listening to a few stories, asking some questions, and supporting their event will really open a lot of doors, and will really, I think, will give those veterans there and their families a sense that the community really cares.
Outstanding. And Frank Jamith wanted to know have you had anyone from West by God, Virginia?
I don't think so yet, Frank, but if you come out, you could be the first, but there may have been somebody that snuck in, but we're small enough right now that I pretty much see every registration, and I read a little bit of the background on where people are coming from, and we ask some questions during the registration, about whether they've had any experience or whether they are a military veteran or first responder. So I think I would have noticed anybody coming from West Virginia. I haven't seen it yet, so this is your opportunity. You could be the first from West Virginia.
All right, Frank, there's your challenge. You got to come out there and maybe share your book share your book with the other hikers, and they'll jump in and become a part of your fan base for your author world as you put out more books, Frank. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
He said it's only fitting that a military academy grad should be first. That's it. There you go.
There you go.
Outstanding. Frank's doing great things. He just published another book, and he was on the show, I think, just about 6 months ago, doing great things, though. Awesome guy.
Impressive. Awesome.
So we've hit, I think, everything. We've hit everything about you, about living free together. The good questions from the audience. We'll start wrapping up here a little bit. What's the best way to get in contact with you personally if someone wants to have you on their show and maybe learn more about you, or even learn more about living free together?
Sure. So Living Free Together, the webpage is Living Free and then Together with the numeral 2 instead of the TO. So Living Free, the numeral 2 together.org. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization here in Charlottesville, Virginia. If you go to that website, you'll find more information about the history of the organization and our programs and some of the upcoming events. But there are places where you can contact us there. The easiest is just info@livingfreetogether.org. And that will create an email that comes to both me and to Tanya. So if you wanted to get a hold of me, send it there. If you wanted to hear from Tanya about some of the more of her background or her stories or other information about programs and events coming up in the future, info@livingfreetogether will get it to both of us, and either one of us can help you with that, and be happy to answer any of your questions and help you out with what you're looking for.
Outstanding. I shared the email in the chat as well. So if you're watching tonight, or if you watch this later, it will be in the chat as it gets to this timeline. You'll be able to see that in there, and I'll put it into the show notes as well. So you can just highlight and get in contact with John and with Tanya when she comes back in after she goes through this hard period. John, last question. I'm going to put you on the hot seat here.
All right.
Excuse me. What we ask our guests, the last question is, what's 3 things the Misfit Nation can do tomorrow to be better humans?
Boy, I tell you, one thing I would tell you is just get involved in your local area. Pick something that you're passionate about. Doesn't have to be something huge. Find a place where you can volunteer a little bit of your time. There's always a worthy cause everywhere, and doing something, no matter how small, will make a difference. So I would tell you that's the first thing. I would tell you just be aware of the different communities around you. I think there are a lot of folks in Charlottesville who might not even know that there's much of a military presence here, and I think there are probably pockets, communities here in the area that I'm not aware of, and I would be a better person for being aware of everybody in my community and the things that they have going on. So that's something that we try to do, is pay attention to what other organizations in the area are doing. And I guess I would say the third thing is just take care of the people around you. There's from time to time, there are things that happen that just come out of the blue. Nobody expects. And they're the kind of things that remind you that it really does. There's a reason we live in communities, and it's because none of us can really handle all the challenges that we're going to face in life alone. So whether you're going through it with your family or some good friends or some great neighbors or coworkers, but whatever your group is, take care of one another. Be willing to ask for help when you need it, and be willing to offer help when somebody in your group is going through a hard time.
Outstanding. Those are 3 great things. Please take heed to those. Those are also in the chat. They'll be in the Substack tomorrow, so you can write notes in the Substack and understand all the stuff that was put out tonight. John, thanks for hanging out tonight with us on the Misfit Nation on a Thursday night. It's been awesome learning more about you, about your journey from Annapolis through the Corps, through the tech world, and now with Living Free Together. It's an awesome journey, and you're doing great things. Continue to serve with purpose in your community.
Thanks, Rich. I appreciate the opportunity. It's been great talking with you.
Awesome. Misfit Nation, remember, a day tomorrow with you is better than one without you. Do not make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Dial 988. Take option 1 if you're a veteran. If you're not a veteran, follow the prompts. Get the help you need. If you don't want to call that number, call your inner circle. The first number in your phone, call it. If they answer, talk to them. Tell them what's really going on with you. Let them know they can help you, and let them come help you. If you don't want to do that, contact us here. info@themisfitnation.com, Steven@themisfitnation.com, or Jake@themisfitnation.com. We will get in contact with you and stay on the line with you until help arrives. Until next time, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.